Sting is a new horror film that is not based on the musician Sting, but instead a spider.
Okay. A lame attempt at humor, swing and a miss.
So today, let's see if this horror film is worth your time. Hey everybody, my name's Justin here. I try to watch everything that hits theaters and on streaming services. If you guys are like me, go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below and click that bell notification for more up and coming content. Charlotte is a rebellious 12-year-old girl who finds a tiny spider in her rundown apartment building. She keeps it in a jar, but it soon starts to grow at a monstrous rate and develops an appetite for blood. So if you have a fear of spiders, I don't know if this movie will be for you. It is a campy spider film that will mess with your fears of spiders. A lot of people are afraid of spiders, little tiny things that crawl at you. This spider comes from a comet in space and lands into someone's apartment building. A young girl finds it and puts it in a jar, and it starts to grow. This massive spider by the end of the film. And so you have a campy film that does not hold back on the blood. There is so many different stages of this spider that each stage, as it continues to grow, only builds the fear of spiders and the intensity of it. When you have this little spider, it's crawling around the vents and you hear it and plays with your fears. And then it starts to be able to crawl in people's mouths and terrorize the apartment building and kill people and animals and things like that. So as it gets bigger and bigger, the intensity rises and there's more blood and just the more urgency surrounding this spider. And I like the different stages that we got with the spider, only built on the horror aspect of it and the blood as well. And if you are terrified of spiders, each stage of this movie will just get worse and worse for you. But mixed in with all of this blood and these gory kills, it's a campy vibe to it. Not an over-the-top campy tone to the film, but some of the story elements that make it a little bit silly. Like I said, with the comet coming down to Earth, with the spider and this young girl keeping it in a jar and feeding the insects. But also we have this older lady who lives in this apartment building, and she keeps on calling it this exterminator, but she has short-term memory loss and she forgets that she even called him in the first place. He arrives there not understanding that she forgets all of this, and it's frustrating to him. Certain elements to the story make it pretty campy. And Jermaine Fowler plays this exterminator, and he handles that role very well. He's hilarious within this movie. You see that frustration of not knowing that she's forgetting everything that had happened. We also have a pretty interesting story involving a stepfather who is a bit jealous that his young stepdaughter is very talented, and he wants to be able to sell a comic that he is creating, and his young stepdaughter is at times better than him. And at times we see this frustration of him trying to be this father and accept the fact that his young stepdaughter is better than him. At times we see a developing story centered around all of that. And as the spider gets bigger, the intensity within the family and the conflict between everybody rises as well. And so the story is the spider is able to bring some of the high points out of some of the arguments and the conflict between the characters, done in a pretty smart way. This is a very claustrophobic film that takes place in one location in the apartment building. Different stories to the apartment building, different rooms as well. We get to see different residents there, but for the most part, it's really utilizing the nighttime, some of the darkness within this film, vents and hallways and closed rooms as well, to bring some terrifying moments to this movie. It's a pretty silly film, a spider that keeps getting bigger and bigger, but the story manages to become more complex along the way, which I did find to be interesting. When you look at a creature feature like this, it's easy to not get as invested in the human storylines, but I found myself invested in the stepfather and his relationship with his stepdaughter and him working at this apartment complex. I found that to be all quite interesting and written well within this film. But what works for this movie is the camp, the spider that only gets bigger, only terrorizes more people and more pets along the way, and it just increasingly gets more bloody and terrifying as the film continues to grow. It's only an hour and a half long, but it jam-packs a lot of intense moments within it. It's a campy film. I had fun with it. No, it's not going to be the most memorable horror film of the year, but it is a fun film that you can just turn off your brain, enjoy for 90 minutes, and see a spider that grows so massive and really will just play with your fears of spiders. I mean, I'm not that terrified of spiders, but there were a couple of times that if I heard it crawling around somewhere in the house, it probably creeped me out a little bit. So before I give you my score for Sting, make sure to check out my channel. Here I do movie reviews, trailer actions, ranking videos, tier lists, all that fun movie-related content that you see on YouTube. I do it all here, so hit that subscribe button to get it all in one spot. And in fact, to see where Sting ranks amongst all the other 2024 releases I've seen this year, follow me on Letterboxd, and there you can find my ranking. I'm going to go ahead and give Sting a B. Thank you guys for checking out my review for Sting, the new horror film about a spider that only gets bigger. Have you guys seen it by chance? What did you think about it? Let me know in the comment section down below, and stay tuned for more up and coming content like this. My name is Just Watches Movies, and you guys stay classy, YouTube.